this is the Process Shot. I'm Michael. I've seen the new jukebox musical fantasy film Cinderella, directed by Kay Cannon, and I guess this is how low standards for mainstream musical films have fallen. The movie is a standard retelling of the classic fairy tale, but now it's got a few contemporary twists. For one, Cinderella is now driven by a desire to become an independent dressmaker, rather than simply just wanting to become a princess or anything more than a housekeeper. Two, the prince himself is very much disinterested in being a king or even a royal figure, much to the chagrin of his father. Three, the movie likes to shove the fact that it's different in your face at most, if not every opportunity. And meanwhile, there's a bunch of musical numbers that are effectively celebrity karaoke segments and don't really matter to the greater narrative. The very concept of this movie feels like something that someone wrote down as a throwaway joke for a sitcom and was accidentally misinterpreted as an honest pitch and greenlit only a few days later. The film is very much self-aware about it as well, at times casually breaking the fourth wall, though more to joke about the musical aspect of the world than comment upon itself or the story in any deeper sense. The changes made to the classic story seem almost superficial, or at the very least, aren't integrated all that well, or in a way which makes the end product feel like something new and improved. There's still the standard characters like Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters. There's the transformation of mice and pumpkins into a horse and carriage and footmen. There's the glass slipper, and there's the love story, all within the first two acts of the movie. The actual story changes don't really come into play until the third act of the film, after the ball and during the prince's search for Cinderella. And it's here that what was set up in the film's first scenes and then more or less forgotten about are finally given a payoff. Though at this point it just feels as if they needed to wrap the new ideas into the story and decided to do it all at the very last minute. If anything, the movie does give more time to Prince What's-His-Name and his friends and family, though again, these scenes generally just hammer in the film's themes of defying traditional roles and following your heart and all that jazz. Speaking of jazz, the musical numbers of the film really aren't all that impressive either. Again, the movie is a jukebox musical, and so outside of two songs, everything is a cover version of a much more popular song. They aren't even integrated very well into the story, with an initial setup by way of a throwaway line or scene, followed by the song, and then back to reality. There are even a few clear cases where the song could have been cut out from the film and nothing would be lost. But I guess they really needed cover versions of Queen and Madonna and Gloria Estefan and I don't know. The film's original songs are also pretty forgettable, though they at least show that they tried to do something a bit more with the musical concept, even if they didn't follow through at all. It also helps that the film's cast is headlined by people with singing talent, most of all Camila Cabello and Idina Menzel, though Menzel's talents go rather underutilized in that she gets maybe 3 or 4 numbers over the course of the film. Actually, any talent gets masked a bit thanks to the decision to use studio-recorded tracks in the film and have everybody lip-sync during their musical scenes. Granted, that's standard practice in most movies, but it causes a bit of a disconnect in close-ups where the singing is emotive, but the movements are less so. When it comes to the film's technical aspects, there really isn't too much to point out. Cinderella feels like a mid-budget movie trying to be a big-budget musical, but there's little that really stands out in the way of creative or appealing visuals. Colors are pretty varied, but not really utilized in a stylistic manner, outside of the outfits being featured. And even so, when it comes to the film's outfits, the focus ends up being on the more plain colored designs. Cinematography is pretty bland as well, taking up nice wide shots during large scale song and dance sequences, but otherwise being more flat and practical than visually expressive. Editing is just about the same, putting more effort towards the musical numbers than the rest of the film. And overall, most of the film's efforts seem to have gone into making the most out of these numbers. But it's just not enough to carry the movie and its story, which may be tongue in cheek, but isn't very explorative or as subversive as it sells itself as being. The end result is a movie that is more annoying than it is entertaining, and when it's over, you'll wish you had been sitting somewhere you couldn't see or hear the film instead. Cinderella, K Canon 2021. 1 star. I don't recommend watching it. Well, I'm done here. If you like this review, leave it a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. As always, subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I almost want to say that this movie should have gone for something wilder and weirder. At least if it were weird, then there'd be more to say about it, you know?